Time to get our cowboy ready for the showdown that's coming up about high noon. So to do this, we're going to put him in his starting position by using our transform tool and using our trusty timeline to help us select things. Now what I'm going to do once again is get everything ready. So I'm going to grab his head and I'm going to just put that in a little bit of a tilt. He's not quite ready to draw yet. Then we're going to grab his right arm and we're going to move that into position as well. So we're going to rotate that down. Then we're going to move on down to his right forearm. And we're going to put that in position as well. So we're going to take that right forearm and put that right here. Then let's go ahead and grab that revolver and we're going to rotate that as well. So the revolver is not quite ready to do its thing yet. And let's grab the other arm now. We're going to grab his left arm and we're going to just move that down a little bit as well. You'll grab his left forearm and we're going to move that down. And once again, we'll grab that revolver and just rotate that a little bit. And let's grab his poncho and we'll move that down just a little bit so we can have some wind going when we animate this. So the poncho is going to be down just a little bit like that. This is going to be the start animation for the character, like so. Alright, he's got his hands down and maybe he's been forced to draw, but he doesn't really want to. So he's probably like, alright, you forced my hand and I'm going to have to lift these guns up. By the time our animation is done, he's going to lift his head up, he's going to lift his arms up right about here, and the guns are going to spin around. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to start adding some frames. Now when a person is going to draw a gun, it's not going to take 30 frames. It's not going to take that long. So it's going to be a quick animation. We don't need all these keyframes. But the cool thing about animating is that we can use our transform tool and all we have to do is select the frame, for example frame 10, and start moving things and the keyframes will be added for us. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go to frame 5 and I'm going to move his head a little bit. So, you know, when you move your body, you know, somebody telling him to draw, the first thing that we'd see probably is some recognition that he's listened to them and he heard what they said. His head's going to go up a little bit like this. And then what's going to happen is a few frames later, his hands are going to lift up probably. But before we do that, let's move the poncho just a little bit. So we'll go to frame 6 and move the poncho up a little bit. Let a little of that wind get it. And as you see, the keyframes are recorded for us as we animate. Now we're going to grab some of the arm action there and go to frame 10. And with the left arm, we're going to rotate that. And as I said before, everything's going to follow suit. So the left arm is going to rotate and we're going to stay right about there because what we're going to have is follow through where the forearm is going to continue on its own later on. So on the same frame, I'm going to grab the other arm, the right forearm, and we're going to rotate that, well the right arm rather, and we're going to rotate that as well. So I'm making sure I'm on the pegs and we're going to rotate the arm up. And since this arm is behind the poncho, we're going to keep that right about there. Now, let's go to frame 15, and we're going to grab the forearms now, and we're going to do the follow through. So this is going to follow after. So now this arm is going to move up, and what I should have done is drawn the poncho in a slightly different way so that this is not in the way, but we can always change that later on. Not a big deal. And let's go ahead and grab the other arm. Let's grab the left forearm, and on that same frame, or actually a frame or two later, just to make it look a little different, frame 17, let's rotate that up as well. And to show more follow through, on a few more frames later, we're going to show the wrist move, or rather the hand. So I'm going to grab the right hand, and we're going to just move that just a little tiny bit, just to show that motion when something comes to rest. And we'll grab his left hand and do the same thing. And once again, we'll move the poncho just a little bit. Move the poncho back down. Actually, a little bit more up, I guess. No, down. That's the beautiful thing about animation. You can play around and see how you want to do things. Let's hit return now to see a preview of our animation. And let's try that again, see what it looks like. So far, so good. All we need to do now is tweak some of the timing so it looks a little bit more natural. And we can also fix this poncho, which I'm going to do in probably on my own later on, just to get that out of the way so we can have the arm not break through it like that. Let's go ahead and save your work, and we're going to tweak this in the next part.